Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, today the trial officially began against Angela Pollina versus the state of New York for the unaliving of little Tommy Thomas Valva. And Newsday, of course, has our updates, and I'm going to get you guys all caught up on it. And you can tell from the picture already, she's trying to look like she's a nice person, but we all know otherwise. Valva case, Angela Pollina did nothing to save Thomas's life. Prosecutor tells jury, defense says she played no role in boy's death. Of course, we knew that was that's the play that the Toohey, her attorney, seems to be going with. So let's check out this little video real quick from Newsday, and then we'll go through the article.
She did nothing to save his life. That's what a prosecutor told jurors repeatedly during opening statements in the murder trial of Angela Pollina. She's charged in the death of 8-year-old Thomas Valva, who died of hypothermia after prosecutors said he was forced to sleep on the concrete floor of an unheated garage. Last year, Pollina's ex-fiancé, former NYPD officer Michael Valva, Thomas's dad, was convicted of second-degree murder in his death. The prosecutor called Pollina a disciplinarian and said she was the one who demanded Thomas and his brother sleep in the garage. No mattress, no heat, no blanket, no pillow. The prosecution claims Thomas's death came after years of abuse. But defense attorney Matthew Toohey told jurors it was Michael Valva, not Angela Pollina, who was at fault.
It's really what happened from the beginning of the day until the tragedy unfolded, and it was the father that was in total control.
We've already heard testimony from one of the first police officers on the scene after Michael Valva placed a 911 call on the morning of Thomas's death. Now, she testified that Thomas didn't have a pulse. He was extremely white and cold to the touch. I'm reporting from Riverhead, Cecilia Dowd for Newsday TV.
Okay, so it looks like a police officer was one of the first to testify today. So let's go through here and see what else was going on in the courtroom. Angela Pollina told her youngest daughter that 8-year-old Thomas Valva was hypothermic the morning he died after being hosed down outdoors following an evening sleeping on an unheated garage floor on a 19-degree night. A Suffolk prosecutor told jurors Monday during opening statements in Pollina's unaliving trial in Riverhead. Despite knowing this, Pollina, the fiancée of Thomas's police officer father, Michael Valva, did nothing to help the boy and later lied to investigators about how he died, Suffolk Assistant District Attorney James Shiel said. She did nothing to save his life, nothing to stop it, he said. She did nothing. Exactly. She did nothing. But Pollina's defense attorney, Matthew Toohey, said she had nothing to do with Thomas's death. He blamed the boy's father in his opening statements. Well, we knew that that's exactly what his defense is. He pretty much told the media that's what he's going for. He's not portraying Angela as a great mother or anything like that. He's just saying, oh, she had nothing to do with the day that he died. So that to me is a bunch of baloney, but I guess he's got to have something to play out there. The prosecutor's words were often repeated during the 30-minute opening in which the prosecutor described Pollina as house disciplinarian for the blended Center Mauritius household, where the couple lived with Thomas and his 2 brothers, as well as Pollina's 3 daughters. Pollina, 45, has pleaded not guilty to charges of second-degree unaliving and 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a child in the January 17, 2020 death of Thomas and the alleged abuse of Anthony, then 10 years old. Michael Valva, 43, was convicted by a Suffolk jury last year of second-degree unaliving in Thomas's death and is incarcerated in an upstate prison near the Canadian border, serving a sentence of 25 years to life. Shiel said the boys suffered years of abuse at the hands of Pollina, who forced them to sleep in the garage because both boys struggled with bedwetting, which he said infuriated her. He described her treatment of the two boys, who were both diagnosed as having autism, as, quote, evil, wicked, and inhumane, unquote. Completely agree with you. She couldn't stand that Anthony and Thomas suffered from autism, Sehel said. In his remarks, the prosecutor also underscored the parental role Pollina played in the boys' lives, despite not being married to their father. He described Valva and Pollina as a team and said because the boy's father worked long hours as an NYPD officer, she was often the sole caregiver for his sons. Shiel said she insisted the boys call her mom. They attended parent-teacher conferences together and annually shared a Christmas card with all 6 children. They sometimes referred to themselves as some type of modern-day Brady Bunch, Shiel said. Yeah, not even close. Prosecutors will call to testify investigators and medical officials who determined Thomas had a body temperature of 76.1 degrees on the morning he died. Hypothermia was a determined cause of death, Shiel said, despite claims by Valva and Pollina that the boy fell and hit his head in a rush to catch the bus to school that morning. Yeah, that story is a bunch of baloney. The case has outraged many in the community because of the failures on the part of the Child Protective Services, the court system, and law enforcement to protect the boys despite numerous warning signs. Newsday has previously reported. Yeah, we've discussed that a lot here on the channel as well. So many people failed little Tommy. It's like it's a list that just gets longer and longer the more you learn. Pollina's home surveillance system, which consisted of video cameras in several rooms of their home, played a key role at Valva's trial, providing the prosecution with video evidence of the boys' treatment and what Pollina and Valva said. Prosecutors also have reams of text messages between Pollina and Valva, who prosecutors say waited a full hour to call police after Pollina saw Thomas fall on his face and remarked to her daughter, "He's hypothermic." Poor kid. Poor Tommy, and I feel really bad for her young daughter having to witness all this. He couldn't get up because Thomas Valva was in the throes of death, Shiel told the jury. Immediately after their house emptied the day of Thomas's death, Pollina told Valva she changed the password on the surveillance account and deleted the footage from that day, Shiel said. Prosecutors will again show the jury video evidence of years of prior abuse. So yeah, why would you delete footage if you're not guilty? That is the act of a guilty person. The trial opened Monday with a dismissal of one juror who told Supreme Court Justice Timothy Mazzei that she was suffering from a cold and did not think she should report for duty. The jury now consists of 8 men, 4 women, and 5 alternates. The trial is expected to last until late March. Angela Pollina had nothing to do with the unaliving of this boy. Nothing, Tuohy said. I beg to differ. Responding to Shiel quoting Pollina, who asserted that Thomas was hypothermic on the morning he died, Tuohy told jurors, "That's an observation. She's not a doctor, and she's right, but it was the boy's father who put the boy in the bath." And that's also under question. Did he put him in a bath, or did he put water on him from the hose? Tuohy, speaking to the jury from a lectern in the courtroom while his client cried at times, promised that Pollina will take the stand. I'm sure she was crying for herself. "She's going to get up and own up to everything," said Tuohy. "She's going to get up and testify and admit to everything she did. She's going to tell you she had nothing to do with the death of this boy." Okay. Tuohy told the jury he's going to be transparent about the mistakes that were made. "We're going to own up to them." Tuohy said many of the witnesses that the jury will hear from police officers, teachers, and medical professionals are telling the truth, but also speculating. The father, Mr. Valva, committed the act, said Toohey. He did it. It's clear. Michael Valva did it. Toohey accused the prosecution of relying on Pollina's prior bad behavior, to which he said she's going to own up to convict her of unaliving when she had very little physical contact with Thomas on the day he died, Toohey said. It was Mr. Valva who put the boys in the garage and not Miss Pollina, he said. Toohey told jurors at the end of the presentation of evidence he's confident that his client will be found not guilty. I sure hope that's not the case. You might not like her. I know that every one of you are going to say, she didn't unalive the boy. I'm certain of it. Pollina's mother and sister sat in the back of the courtroom for opening statements. It's a difficult time, said her sister, Lucia Pollina, who said she was there to support her sister. It's hard. We never imagined, and I'm tired of people saying we knew. The prosecution's first witness was an undercover Suffolk County police detective who Newsday is not naming at the request of the district attorney's office, who testified that Thomas appeared unalive when she arrived to render aid to the boy. She administered CPR, but Thomas was unconscious. He appeared pale, extremely white, and had an abrasion to his forehead, the witness said. In the afternoon, Long Island Community Hospital emergency room physician Dr. Michael Volpe told the jury he treated Pollina for anxiety in the moments after she learned the news that Thomas had been pronounced dead. Dr. Volpe said he administered a dose of Xanax to help her calm down. She was having severe anxiety, Dr. Volpe said. I'm sure she was. I'm sure she was having anxiety because now she knew she was in big trouble. The doctor's testimony followed Aaron Lambert, a paramedic who treated Thomas both at the family home on Bittersweet Lane and on the ambulance ride to the hospital. Lambert said she saw Pollina walking toward the trauma room to approach Valva. He spoke quietly to her and she began to sob uncontrollably, Lambert told the jury. Pollina was then seated in a wheelchair before being treated by Dr. Volpe, who was among the physicians to pronounce Thomas dead minutes earlier. Lambert's voice cracked with emotion at times as she spoke of treating Thomas, who she said, quote, showed no signs of life, unquote, from the time she arrived. Asked by Assistant District Attorney Carrie Ann Kelly while the treatment continued, Lambert said, you do everything possible, especially for a child. On that morning, treatment included giving CPR and oxygen to Thomas, who had no pulse and was not breathing when Lambert arrived 3 minutes after receiving the emergency call. She described him as smelling sick and dirty. He was dead, Lambert said. There was no pulse, no breathing, no movement. Dr. Volpe said Thomas was given 8 doses of an adrenaline medication, but his condition never improved. Using a clinical scale to determine his level of consciousness, Dr. Volpe said the boy had the lowest possible score. He was unresponsive completely, the doctor testified. That is horrific. That truly, truly is. So, seems like quite a bit happened on day 1 in the courtroom. And I really hope the jury is not buying Mr. Toohey's argument, and I hope they continue to see through his charade, which, let's be honest, it's his job. He has to defend her. I guess somebody has to defend these alleged criminals, and I have to say that, but even though I believe that she's guilty of sin, but somebody has to defend them. But I ask you, who defended this little boy on the screen? Look at those eyes. No one helped him. I mean, his mom tried to help him, but her hands were tied. But he asked for help in school. The teachers tried to ask for help from the state, and he even asked a CPS worker. He told him what was going on. No one helped him. No one helped this sweet little boy when he asked, and he told them what was going on in his home. That is horrible, Horrible, horrible. We need to do better for these children. And it's very sad to keep hearing these stories. You have Tommy, little Tommy here. Then we have Harmony Montgomery. There's just so many stories that have horrible, horrible ends. I'm tired of the horrible ends. Thank gosh last week there was a great end of a child, little JJ, who went missing here in Florida and he was found the next day. Thank goodness for those happy endings, because I don't know how much more of these sad endings I can take. You have these children that are abused, that disappear, they're kidnapped, what have you. We got to do better for these children. We truly do. And I hope that Tommy gets his justice. And by that, it means that she's getting a guilty verdict. So that's the end of the first day in court. And looks like from the picture that we saw up top, Angela's trying to look presentable, whatever that is to her. But you can't cover up ugly inside because of the outside. You really can't. I think they're going to see through her. I really hope they do. And I hope she gets on the stand, because if she gets on the stand, I doubt she can hide that ugly. I really don't think she can. But all right, guys, that's all I've got for today. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I don't think I'll be doing an update every day, but I wanted to get this obviously out because today was day one. I'll do another update probably in a couple days or when something big hits in the courtroom. But I'm keeping up with everything in Newsday. And if you are in the courtroom and you'd like to let me know of anything, my email is in the information of every single video. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.